Hello, my name is Flora Huang, and I'm from Philadelphia, USA. Hello, we are Women in Data Science.
I became a WITS ambassador because I dream of an equitable world where empowered women help humanity make better decisions through data science.
As a woman, I'm hoping more Peruvian women will be motivated to join this exciting field.
The WITS community has really enhanced my sense of purpose in these life goals, and it has really built my confidence in such a meaningful way to be able to mentor, motivate, and support others.
The most rewarding and impactful aspect about my work as a clinical data scientist is to use the data generated by doctors, nurses, and the healthcare system to improve the care of future patients.
I'm delighted to bring this event to Pakistan, along with so many WITS ambassadors worldwide, so that we can inspire all young girls or women to take up career in data science.
The use of data science to address climate change and sustainability issues continues to inspire me in my data science journey.
Through WITS Alexandria, I've got the chance to meet with brilliant female professors, learn about the research, and bring that to my community as well.
I'm a WITS ambassador because I wanted to inspire more young girls like me to join the field of data science, and I believe that in the future there must be more women in this field.
I'm really excited to continue bringing WITS events to my school and schools across Australia to empower girls to get involved in the field.
It's great that we've got Women in Data Science events, and know that there's so many more inspiring stories as part of the Women in Data Science journey.
Hi, I'm Carolyn Bertozzi, and I am a chemist who works in the area of drug discovery. I've had many opportunities in my life to collaborate with data scientists. They've been absolutely central to the work that we do. We couldn't have made the discoveries that we've made without having people to analyze very large data sets and to help us find hidden trends within them. Now, when I was growing up, I was somewhat insulated from the idea that women or girls couldn't be scientists because I came from a family of scientists. And when I was in college, I learned that not everyone had that privilege. I hope that all of you women data scientists or aspiring data scientists will truly feel that you belong in the field, because I believe it, and your participation is absolutely essential for us to bring the full benefits of data science to solve the big problems in humanity. So just as I was so fortunate to have a family that created an environment where I could believe in myself as a scientist, I'm hoping that you all have the confidence to pursue your dreams and that you help the generation that follows you in the same way that hopefully someone of my generation can be of help to you. Good luck with all of your work.
أشكركم جزيل الشكر. حضور اليوم مو معهود، أنا بالعادة أسوي الدورات حقت أونلاين اللي كان يحضر معنا عن طريق منصة العطاء الرقمي، فصراحة سعادة تغمرني وجودكم اليوم وإني أقدمه بهذه الطريقة. شكرا جزيلا لكم. اليوم بإذن الله زي ما ذكرت سابقا بحول الله راح نتطرق لعلم البيانات ومجالاته في الصحة. طبعا في 3 عوامل أساسية اللي خلت الآن كثير من الباحثين وكثير من حتى المؤسسات سواء كان في القطاع الخاص أو في القطاع العام تدخل بشكل كبير في مجال الصحة في علم البيانات وتوظيفها. فكانت من أهم العوامل هذه exponential growth of data، التضخم الكبير اللي نشاهده الآن في البيانات وخاصة في مجال الصحة. أيضاً الavailability للcomputational power، أصبحت الآن الطاقة الاستيعابية للبروسيسنج ومعالجة الأجهزة جداً ضخمة وتستوعب بالفعل ضخامة البيانات. وأخيراً الفاندمنتال أدفانسمنت الماشين ليرنينج ألغوريثم، كثير من الآن الألغوريثمز اللي موجودة وخاصة في الديب ليرنينج بالذات أصبحت بالفعل تشجع استخدام الذكاء الاصطناعي وتعلم الآلة في المجال الصحي. طبعاً 3 functions أساسية أو وظائف أساسية يتم استخدام فيها علم البيانات في مجال الصحة، و3 أهداف أساسية يحتاجونها في المجر to decide وأيضاً to execute. الفكرة الأساسية فيها لنأخذ مثلاً على سبيل المثال اللنج كانسر اللي هو سرطان الرئة. لو كان أنا عندي الصور الخاصة بالأشعة، فعندنا المرحلة الأولى أو الفانكشن الأول المجر يحاول يقدر بالفعل بقراءة هذه الصور مدى خطورة حتى الخلايا السرطانية اللي موجودة في هذه الصور. في الديسيجن باستخدام البيانات السابقة أو نسميه اللي هو تاريخ البيانات اللي موجودة عندي سابقاً، يقدر بالفعل يتخذ قرارات ويأخذ decisions ممكن تساهم بالفعل وتساعد الهيلث براكتيشنرز في إنهم يأخذون قرارات بهذا الشيء. وأخيراً ممكن كمان نستخدم الذكاء الاصطناعي في مجال الصحة في الإكسكيوشن، يعني نقدر نستخدم الروبوتات الدقيقة جداً في إجراء عمليات جديدة ودقيقة. جميع هذه الفانكشنز هي الأساسيات في أي شيء في مجال الصحة، تبدأ بالmeasurements, make decisions and then the execution. لما نجي نتعرف الآن في World Medical Innovation Forum طلعوا الدومينز الأساسية اللي نقدر نشوف فيها مجال الصحة وتطبيقات علم البيانات في مجال الصحة. فنجدها في patient engagement، التفاعل مع المريض سواء أيا كان القطاع أو المستشفى اللي موجود عندي، كيف تفاعله مع المريض. أيضا الكير ديليفري، كيف نقدر بالفعل نوصل له إياها. والبوبوليشن هيلث بشكل عام، زي لما تعاملنا مع جائحة كورونا أيضا وظفنا العلم البيانات. في الR&D، في الريسيرش اند ديفلوبمنت، في البحث والتطوير. أيضا في البحث والتطوير شهد ادفانسمنت جدا كبيرة في مجال علم البيانات. وأخيرا في الادمنستريتيف، حتى في إدارة المستشفيات نفسها يتم توظيف علم البيانات. ولما أتكلم عن توظيف علم البيانات ما نتكلم فقط عن إدارة قواعد بيانات عادية أو إدارة بيانات مرضى، ولكن بالفعل أن نبدأ نوظف التحليل الإحصائي والذكاء الاصطناعي عشان نقدر نتخذ قرارات جدا مفيدة حتى استراتيجية، سواء كانت على صعيد المرضى أو حتى على صعيد المنشآت نفسها. في الرسم البياني اللي أمامنا الأوفلز أو الدوائر اللي تشوفونها هذه تبين مدى الانجيجمنت لعلم البيانات في هذا الفيلد. فدائما الآن سو فار في الادفانسمنت، مع أن هذا التقرير قديم في 2019، الادفانسمنت اللي موجود عندنا أكثر شيء كان في الريسيرش اند ديفلوبمنت، وأكثر حاجة في الأكسكيوشن، في الفاكتورز تبع الأكسكيوشن. أيضاً مهم بدينا نشوفه في البيشنت انجيجمنت، في الكير ديليفري، هذه كلها نجد لها تطبيقات لعلم البيانات. ليش إحنا نحتاج الديتا ساينس في الهيلث كير؟ الإشكالية في الهيلث كير إنه في عندي حاجتين جداً مهمة، الفيلير فيها تكلفته جداً عالية، سواء كان تكلفة مالية أو تكلفة بشرية. فوجود علم البيانات ووجود طاقة حوسبية عالية الأداء، فعلاً أنا أقدر أوظفها تستوعب حجم بيانات جداً ضخم وتساعد الهيلث براكتيشنرز أياً كان البراكتيشن اللي هم جالسين يسوونه، يساعدهم بالفعل باتخاذ قرارات جداً سريعة وتساهم في حتى تصحيح الحدس اللي يكون عند الهيلث براكتيشنرز. أيضاً تخفض التكاليف، من جدا مهم عند المنشآت الصحية أنها تخفض التكاليف للرعاية الصحية اللي جالسة تقدمها. أيضاً اللي هو improved drug development، اليوم نتطرق على بعض التطبيقات منها development، كيف استخدامات علم البيانات فيه. وأيضاً ما نتكلم فقط اللي هو عن مجال الصحة واللي يخص البيشنت، حتى الجانب الإداري لإدارة المستشفيات. في كثير من التطبيقات واليوز كيسز اللي نقدر نشوف بالفعل فيها الديتا ساينس في الهيلث كير، وفي الشاشة أمامكم الآن عدد كبير منها. اليوم بس بنركز على 4 ميجرز منها هي اللي نشوف فيها رابط ديفلوبمنت، وبدينا نشوف كثير عنها حتى مقالات تظهر لنا، اللي هي الجينومكس ديتا ساينس. طبعا الميديكال ايميجينج اليوم الزميلات راح يقدموا كثير من التطبيقات، وهذا كثير احنا في الكمبيوتر ساينس نستغل الميديكال ايميجينج في الكمبيوتر في الكمبيوتر فيجنز عشان نشوف تطبيقات وتحليلات البيانات عليها. لكن اللي انا بركز عليه في التوك حق اليوم بنشوف اللي هو في الجينومكس، في تحليل الحمض النووي اللي موجود عندنا، في الهيلث كير بريدكتيف اناليتكس، كيف بقدر بالفعل ان نسوي بريدكشنز باستخدام البيانات التاريخيه السابقه للمرضى. ايضا ممكن استخدامه في الميديكال ريكوردز مانجمنت والديفلوبينج الافكتيف دراجز. فبنشوف اول حاجه بعض من تطبيقاته في الهيلث كير بريدكتيف اناليتكس. طبعا في البريدكتيف اناليتكس نتكلم عن اداره حتى المستشفى نفسه. الويتنج تايم اللي هو فترة الانتظار جدا مكلفة على المستشفى، وأيضا يخسرون منها المرضى. فالويتنج تايم ممكن احنا باستخدام بالفعل المشين ليرنينج، وفي تطبيق طبعا كان في مستشفى في نيويورك طبق هذا الشيء، وبالفعل قدر يحدد كمية فترة الويتنج تايم، وانخفضت لما يقارب 50%. صاروا المرضى ما عاد يحتاجون ينتظرون في المستشفيات. أيضا الامرجنسي ديبارتمنت، مشكلة الامرجنسي ديبارتمنت واللي يصير عندنا دائما أنه تكون في عندك حالات كثيرة تجيك في نفس الوقت وتحتاج فانكشنز كثيرة، إما اللي يحتاج اكس رايز، اللي يحتاج تحليل دم، اللي يحتاج يروح أول شيء يخلص بعض العمليات وبعدين يرجع لك مرة ثانية في الامرجنسي ديبارتمنت. هذه يسمونها الاي دي باتل نيك. من تطبيقات المشين ليرنينج والديب ليرنينج فيها قدروا بالفعل يحددون، يسوون بريدكشنز متى الباتل نكس اللي تصير عندك اكثر شيء وايش الحالات، ويقدر بالفعل يعطيك المشين ليرنينج والديب ليرنينج ايش السيكونس اللي المفترض يكون يمر فيه المريض. هل المفترض اول شيء اذا جت الحاله هذه ياخذ اكس رايز، بعدين يسوي تحليل الدم وغيرها. الامر كمان الثاني في الانبيشنت ترانسفير من الامرجنسي ديبارتمنت. الانبيشنت ترانسفير للامرجنسي ديبارتمنت برضو هذا من الاشياء اللي تسبب الباتل نيك في غرفه الطوارئ. الاشكاليه اللي فيها انه لما يجوني انا المرضى بشكل جدا كبير واحتاج بعدين ترانسفير ذم لليونتس او الوحدات بعد ما يتم المعالجه الاوليه لهم في الامرجنسي ديبارتمنت. فمن اهم الاشكاليات اللي عالجها الديتا ساينس واستخدام المشين ليرنينج والديب ليرنينج، يقدر بالفعل على طول بمجرد ما تجيه الحاله والادخال الاولي للحاله يقدر بالفعل على طول يسوي لك بريدكشن ايش اليونت المفترض على طول ينتقل لها المريض. واخيرا اللي هو الاكسلريتنج ديسشارج بلاننج. ايضا في كثير من المستشفيات بدات تطبق المشين ليرنينج والديب ليرنينج عشان تسرع خروج المريض من المستشفى، وبالفعل في نسب قدروا يوصلون فيها انه الحجم يقل الى يصير 21%، وما عاد يصير في عندهم تعثر في الحالات اللي تظل دائما في المستشفى. كمان نشوف تطبيقات الديتا ساينس في الجينومكس. كم تتوقعون حجم الجينوميك ديتا اللي هو تحليل الدي ان اي؟ دقيقة بس كذا فكروا فيها، كم ممكن يكون الحجم؟ طبعا في السابق كان تحليلها جدا صعب، حتى بالباور الكمبيوتر الأساسية العادية كانت جدا جدا صعبة. الآن أصبح جدا التعامل مع البيانات الضخمة سهل. فإحنا في من مجموعة تريليون سيلز، الخلايا اللي موجودة في أجسامنا الآن، الخلية الواحدة منها فقط تحتوي على 6 بليون دي ان اي لترز اللي بالفعل تطلع لك التركيبة الجينية للشخص. فلما نيجي احنا نتكلم كيف لما احول انا البيانات هذه تصير محفوظه عندي انا في الجهاز او في الكمبيوتنج باور اللي موجوده عندنا، احنا نتكلم للشخص الواحد حيكون عندي 200 جيجا بايت. ولما انا اتكلم عن population ومن المتوقع ب 2025 يتضاعف حجم البيانات هذه اللي يصل الى 40 اكسا بايت. الاكسا يعني بس raise your hand بالذات اللي من الكمبيوتر ساينس مر عليكم؟ معظمنا نعرف تيرا بايت بعد كذا. طبعا عشان نعرف اللي هو حجم الاكسا بايت، تخيلوا ان الشارك الواحد اللي موجود، القرش الواحد اللي موجود في الصوره امامكم هو يقارب 100 مليون جيجا بايت، وهذا المتوقع بيكون حجم البيانات عندنا القادم باذن الله في 2025. فميزه الديتا ساينس انه قدر بالفعل يقارنس صعوبه البيانات الضخمه ويوظفها عشان يقدر يتخذ قرارات. طبعا من المهم جدا في الجينومكس ديتا ساينس، واصبح الان حتى في فيلد متخصص في الديتا ساينس بس في الجينومكس، examine الجينوميك strands ويقدر بالفعل يشوف ايش الريجوليشنز اللي موجوده عندي. كمان finding البتوين اللينكس اللي ممكن تكون موجوده، وبشكل جدا سريع اسرع بكثير مما يتخيله البشر يطلع اللينكس. المشين ليرنينج وبالذات الان الديب ليرنينج صار بالفعل بشكل جدا سريع يطلع اللينكس اللي موجوده ما بين الجيناتكس والميوتيشنز اللي موجوده فيها والهيلث. كمان من الاشياء اللي جدا مفيده وبدا الان استخدامها يشوفون كيف تاثير الدراجز ايضا على الميوتيشنز اللي موجوده عندي في الدي ان اي. ايضا كمان بدا الان استخدام الديتا ساينس وعلم البيانات في دراج ديسكفري. كم تتوقعون ياخذ وقت عشان بالفعل الدراج او الدواء يكون عندي تستد وابروفد؟ طبعا اكسكلودينج جائحه كورونا يعتبر يعني اكستريم اللي صار. اكزاكتلي يس 15 سنه، من 10 الى 15 سنوات. هذا اون افريج ما يقدرون تسوون بريدكشن، ولكن حسب الكانسر ريسيرش في اليو كي السنتر اللي هناك كان تقديرهم انه بالفعل ياخذ من 10 الى 15 سنه لانه خلاص يكون ديسشارد وبالفعل يقدرون يستخدمونه المنشآت الصحيه. طبعا من الميزات اللي هو الدراج ديسكفري باستخدام الداتا ساينس ممكن له استخدامات كثيره. اول شيء اللي هي الاوبتمايزيشن في البريدكشن سكسس، يقدر بالفعل يبداوا يستخدمونها في البريدكشن. كمان الفارماسيوتيكال كومبانيز بدات الان تستخدم البيشنت داتا اللي هم المرضى اللي خلاص اوريدي قد استخدموا دراجز، بداوا يعني عندهم الان الهيستوري تاريخ لها، فيقدروا بالفعل يشوفون كيف الميوتيشن بروفايلز للمرضى هذه وكيف كانت تاثير الادويه عليها، وبالفعل يقدر يسوي فيسرع طريقه الديفلوبمنت الموجوده عندنا للدراجز. واخيرا كمان بدا الان استخدامه في السيميوليشن، يحاكون تاثير الدراجز وكيف ممكن يكون تاثيره على الاشخاص والناس. كمان في الديجيتال فارماسي، في الديجيتال فارماسي كثير الان بدينا نشوف استخدامات الداتا ساينس بشكل مره كبير. طبعا الاشكال في الديجيتال فارماسي في عندنا يحتاجون اوبتمايزيشن يعني امثل العمليات طبعا احنا لما نقول حتى اوبتمايزيشن ما نتكلم عن اتمته عاديه، او انه فقط انه بدل ما كانت العمليه هي ادخال يدوي من قبل الفارماسيست مثلا او الصيدلاني، لا، احنا نتكلم عن شيء ابعد من كذا لما ندخل الديتا ساينس فيه. احنا نتكلم عن تحليل احصائي لعمليات سابقه، نتكلم عن حتى اوقات متى كان فيها ديسشارج للادويه اكثر من اوقات قبلها، حتى الفترات الزمنيه اللي في السنه نفسها. فالميديتيشن ديسبنسنج، باكجينج، تراكنج، الابديتنج، الريتريفل، هذا كله يدخل في الديجيتال فارماسي وكيف كانت تطبيقات الديتا ساينس فيه. ايضا مانجينج الكاستمر انفورميشن، الميديكال هيستوري، دراج انتراكشنز، هذه كلها تم تطبيق الان وفي تطبيقات حاليه موجوده للديتا ساينس فيها. وازيد انا اكرر كثير يكون في عندنا لبس بانه الديتا ساينس هو مجرد اتمته العمليات والبيانات اللي تصير موجوده عندي تحفظ في قاعده بيانات ويصير الادخال سهل، لا، احنا نتجاوز مرحله اكبر من كذا. استخدامات المشين ليرنينج والديب ليرنينج وتوظيف الذكاء الاصطناعي فيها جدا جدا مهم، واصبحت الان في ادفانسمنت في الفيلد هذا بطريقه. طبعا في تحديات جدا كبيره ومعوقات لاستخدام الديتا ساينس، وخاصه في مجال الهيلث كير. في مجال الصحه السنسيتيفيتي للبيانات والبرايفسي جدا جدا عاليه، وغير انك انت تلامس الناس على صعيد جدا شخصي، وانت ايضا تلامس الناس في احتياج خاص فيهم، هم لما يكونون مرضى او يكون في حالات وفاه مثلا. فالسنسيتيفيتي اللي نتعامل فيها مع البيانات في الهيلث كير جدا جدا عاليه. طبعا من الباريرز اللي موجوده، اول شيء في تكنولوجي جاب. المتوقع من الاي اي جدا كبير، واللي موجود حاليا معظمه زي ما شفنا في اول بدايه البرزنتيشن كان كثير في الريسيرش والديفلوبمنت، كانت فيها كلها اشياء تجريبيه. ايضا من الاشياء اللي يفتقر لها الاي اي لما نيجي ندخل في مجال الهيلث كير اللي هو نسميها الاكسبلينابيلتي. قديش انا بالفعل انا صح فعلا يعني بالذات اللي يجون من الكمبيوتر ساينس، انت حصلت على 99% تقدر تسوي بريدكشن هل بالفعل الخلايا هذه سرطانيه او لا، لكن كان بالفعل اكسبلين هل بالفعل تقدر تشرح وتدخل في تفاصيل وتقدر تحدد المسوغات والمسببات. هنا بالفعل نجد ان الاي اي والديتا ساينس لاكينج، ما هو قادر يوصل لهذه النتائج. ايضا الفيزيشن رول، وهذا من اصعب الفاكتورز اللي يتعامل معها في الهيلث كير لما نيجي نتكلم عن الاي اي التقنيه، لما نيجي نتكلم ايضا عن الديتا ساينس. طب ايش حيكون الرول حق الفيزيشنز؟ هذا سؤال جدا مهم، وكثير حتى يخوف البراكتيشنرز. تلاقي كثير من البراكتيشنرز في الهيلث كير يتخوف من استخدام التقنيه او الذكاء الاصطناعي خوفا على الدور حقه. طب هو ايش حيكون دوره؟ ايش راح يكون دور الفيزيشن اذا انت قدرت بالفعل عن طريق الاكس رايز باستخدام الاي اي قدرت تحدد وتسوي بريدكشن هل كانت هذه خلايا سرطانيه او لا؟ وهذا اللي انا احب يعني اختم فيه التوك حقي اليوم، وقبل حتى الكلوزنج ريماركس اتمنى خلال جلساتنا اليوم بس تفكرون في السؤال هذا: هل تتوقعون في يوم من الايام ممكن الاي اي او الديتا ساينس، ديب ليرنينج، ماشين ليرنينج ممكن فعلا ريبليس الهيلث براكتيشنرز، ممكن تاخذ دوره في المستشفى وخلاص ما عاد تحتاجه؟ هذا السؤال مره مهم، وهذا ليد كمان لسؤال ثاني ضروري نفكر فيه: هل بالفعل الذكاء الاصطناعي والديتا ساينس نقدر نقول عليه ethical؟ كل اللي احتاجه من الحضور اليوم بس ينتظرون لين نهايه الجلسات اليوم وبنشوف الاجابه على الاسئله هذه وايش كان راي الريسيرشرز فيها. شكرا لكم. حياك الله دكتورة. هذا البوينترز كذا صير كذا كذا. أيوة اليمين تضغطين أي كذا أي تمام خلاص. شكرا لك. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله. صباح الخير. So first I would like to thank and the team for bringing us this great event and for being part of this event. I'm really appreciating all this effort. Thank you. So this is the title of my talk, Clinical Natural Language Processing or Clinical NLP, How ChatGPT Fundamentally Changing the Game. تركيزي المحاضرة اليوم عن معالجة اللغات الطبيعية في المجال الطبي وكيف الذكاء الاصطناعي التوليدي خصوصاً على سبيل المثال شات جي بي تي قاعد يغير اللعبة في المجال الطبي خصوصاً معالجة اللغات الطبيعية. طبعاً لما نقول معالجة اللغات الطبيعية أقصد فيها اللغات المسموعة المكتوبة المقروءة. So since last November 2022, ChatGPT has captured almost everyone's attention. So the ChatGPT developed by OpenAI, and it has millions of users around the globe. It showed the really great potential of AI. So not like other kind of chatbots that were released before, ChatGPT can do a lot of things, can answer our questions, we can do copywriting, copy editing, and with very promising results. So the research community actually envisioned this technology can be really a game changer in clinical NLP or natural language processing. So in this presentation, I briefly overview the clinical NLP problems or the challenges that are unique to the medical domain and introduce the clinical NLP tasks and then mention or highlight some of the common techniques with the clinical NLP. And last not least, I will also talk about the new paradigms by using the generative AI or ChatGPT in clinical NLP. So the health or electronic health record, it's implemented in most of the, not every, or almost everywhere, especially with the hospital or healthcare settings. So, and EHR includes a lot of data. So the main the prior usage of EHR was to capture data and share it with the administration. Then the usage of EHR evolved over time to advance the clinical process. So, and recently they've been focused on using EHR data to improve the outcome. However, with the clinical data, there are almost around 80% of data that are unstructured. And that involves the clinical notes, patient-provided information, family history, whereas only 20% of this data is actually structured, and that involves demographics or lab results and medication. So that's actually why we need natural language processing or the techniques to understand and reveal some knowledge out of this unstructured EHR data. First, I would like to give an introduction or a definition for NLP, natural language processing. What we mean by natural language processing is a subfield of computer science, information engineering, and artificial intelligence concerned with interaction between humans and human languages and computers, in particular to help computers to process and analyze the large amount of data, especially the unstructured data. So
What unique challenges? Actually, the clinical EHR data or clinical data is very unique in many ways and has own unique challenges comparing to other kind of unstructured data. So in the next slide, I will list some of the unique challenges with clinical data. So for example, there are flexible formatting, and also there is some grammar issues, or there might be some misspellings. Also, there might be rich description, and the language that's been used with the medical data is very unique to the medical domain. So the task with the clinical NLP. Starting with question answering. The question answering is by having a text or textual data and provide some questions, what we can ask questions out of this data and provide and retrieve relevant answers from this data. And then we have semantic analysis, and this is another NLP task, very exciting domain. And the idea of this task is to identify and extract the emotions and the feedback out of the reviews. For example, if I'm interested in visiting a physician or going to a specific clinic, I might go to certain websites, healthcare websites, where the list of reviews for physicians or healthcare systems being listed. So I can make my own decision by looking into the reviews. For example, here someone with the positive feedback mentioning that there is fast, good wait time, nice front desk staff, whereas someone is saying about, I don't want to go back. This is a negative feedback. Then moving to another task with NLP or clinical NLP, it's text summarization. What's text summarization? It involves shortening the text to create a summary that's representing the main idea. And we have this example from radiology report summarization. So the idea is to kind of understand what's going on and give it in very shorter and smaller sentences. So that would help to accelerate the radiology workflow and improve the efficiency of clinical communication. And then we have another task, another NLP task is called information extraction. And the idea of this task is to extract information. And within this task, there is two subtasks. One is the named entity recognition, and there is also relation extraction. So for the named entity recognition, the idea is to locate and specify the name of entities. For example, here, the first sentence out of a clinical note describing a family history for a patient. And for the name entities out of this sentence, we have family member, condition, or age information. And then out of this sentence, we might also wanted to get deep and understand the relations between the concepts. So for example, here we have the age of 59 is associated with the breast cancer, whereas the age of 80 is associated with the passing away. Another task with NLP is called word sense disambiguation. And the idea is to bring the abbreviation to their original word. Within the medical field, there are a lot of abbreviations. There is a lot of acronyms, and how to kind of understand the long form of the abbreviation based on the context. So for example, within the given example, we have two acronyms, BK, the first example, and that stands for Bilioni, whereas the second one, BK, stands for the name of a virus. So actually, there are some concrete examples of NLP task. And as you may, there are a lot more of NLP task. The one that I mentioned, alongside there is also We have semantic role labeling, coference resolution, negation, identification, and many other tasks. So now moving to the mainstream paradigms with the NLP approach. We have three mainstream paradigms. We have symbolic NLP, we have statistical NLP, machine learning, deep learning, and then we have transfer learning NLP, or the transformer large language models. So for symbolic NLP, it's established or developed sometimes in 1980s, and it used comprehensive set of rules. And it has also another name, it's called rule-based NLP. So here's an example for a notes, clinical notes, and idea of, or the goal of using rule-based NLP here is to extract the gene mutation. And we can move through different steps. First, we have to divide the sentences, and then we have to do tokenization, then concept identification, then moving to assertion, extraction, and then evaluation. Then the second type of paradigm in NLP approach or techniques is the machine learning or deep learning approach. Starting with machine learning. So for machine learning, it takes structured data as an input, where those data are formulated as rows and columns. And then rows actually representing the data entries or data samples, where the columns representing the features or the variables. However, within the clinical text or clinical data, as I mentioned before, they are unstructured. There is more than 80% unstructured data. So we need to convert the text into language features. And the language features, these are examples of language features: number of words, part of speech, term frequency, term or TF-IDF. So for building these language features requires a lot of human intelligence, and because even sometimes we might need to select which features should work better for what NLP task. So this task is called feature extraction or feature selection. So we move to the deep learning. So the idea of deep learning models is trying to learn these features automatically. So the learned feature can be embedded and can also improve and make the semantics richer and has also rich meaning. So this is the typical NLP pipeline in the clinical domain. So we use the machine learning or deep learning techniques. So we first extract the clinical notes out of the clinical data warehouse, and then we annotate those notes to create some gold standard data set. This data can be put into training and testing. Then we can test the model based on that. So actually nowadays the vector or the word to vector approach was described as outdated approach. Transformer models being regarded as the state of art in NLP. So now I will talk and briefly mention the new techniques or new paradigm with the transfer learning. So what do we mean by transformers? Transformers focusing on sorting or storing the knowledge learned from large corpus, such as like Wikipedia or other text data from the internet, and train the model on a very specific task. So we have actually two tasks to build the transformer models. We have pre-training, which involves training the model on larger and larger data. Then we have fine-tuning, which is more focusing on training training the data on a smaller data set. So this is the previous or old pipeline using machine learning and deep learning. And moving to the new pipeline, this is with using the transformers and language models. So usually with using language models for clinical domain, we take the pre-trained large language models and that are actually off the shelf and train them on a smaller set within the focus on clinical or medical domain to cover a very specific task. So as the number of parameters in the large language models become larger, so this language models even become larger and larger. That's why they call it larger or large language models. As we may see here in the first row, we have this kind of models, for example, GPT-1, BERT, Roberta, and GPT-2, which has less than 100 billion parameters. But within the larger or large language models, the parameters getting more and more. So for example, we have a chat GPT-3 has 175 billion parameters. So by actually learning from this billions of natural language text, the language models start to be better, and even with the grammar and also with making some facts. So the text generated by those models even becoming more promising. So that leads us to a very recent and new paradigm, which is called generative AI or generative natural language processing. So we might even ask ourselves, for example, the generative NLP as an example, ChatGPT, how and why will fundamentally change the game within the healthcare settings, especially within the clinical text. Okay, so before I talk about different NLP tasks, so for each one of these NLP tasks, we need to develop new techniques or specific techniques for this task. We also need to annotate some data set that might work with certain tasks. For example, if we're interested in working with medication interaction, we might need to develop some task for that and train or annotate certain data set that within the medical or medication interaction. Whereas, for example, if I'm interested in working with family history or medical understanding family history, I also wanted to annotate a different data set that within this area of understanding family history. So actually, this kind of development and annotations takes a lot of time. So it might take several months, up to 1 or 2 years. So that's actually really time consuming and also requires a lot of resources. In the following slides, I will talk about how ChatGPT, as an example of generative NLP, is changing the game and also supporting the clinical domain within the task of natural language processing. So starting with this task, NLP task, the named entity recognition, or NER. So here we have the example of we're asked the ChatGPT to extract family member and family histories out of this clinical note. So as you may see here on the left side of the screen, the ChatGPT was able to understand the question and provide the answers based on that. So the listed family members here, also the conditions of the medical history for the family. And also in the right side of the screen, we asked also the ChatGPT to extract some concept, medical concept out of this following clinical note. And as you may see in the result, that the ChatGPT was able to understand the question and provide the annotated or named entity recognition. Another NLP task, the relation extraction. So again, we ask the ChatGPT to extract drug names and also to extract the drug-to-drug interactions out of the following the clinical note. As you may see also here, there is a promising results. Another NLP task is summarization, where we ask or we're interested in kind of shortening the long form of text into shorter and relevant text. So here again, we ask the ChatGPT and we ask the ChatGPT in general to kind of summarize the following note. And as you may see, the results, it's still long summarized, but still long answer or long note, summarized version, but also we can ask ChatGPT to summarize the note within certain number of words. So here we ask the ChatGPT to make the summarization within the 20 words. And as you may see, the clinical note is shorter and within having the main idea of the clinical note. So this list of clinical NLP tasks. So using the generative AI, all these kind of NLP tasks can become only one task, which is the language generation, the task of language generation. So the ultimate goal for language generation is kind of to generate language, and the powerful language model also could fit all these different tasks. Again, also we might ask ourselves if we actually prepared for this shift or this new paradigm for clinical NLP. Here are some challenges of using generative NLP or ChatGPT as an example. Again, because this is an emerging field, the list of challenges might not be final. For example, here, one of the main challenges of using ChatGPT as an example for or working with clinical data is that ChatGPT are not trained on clinical data. So it has still limited ability to understand or capture the language features within a medical domain. Again, the common sense, ChatGPT or in general generative AI can make some basic and elementary errors. Also, the results might be biased because again, the data was trained on open data from the internet. So another big challenge with ChatGPT is that it doesn't have a concept, meaning that it lacks the ability to provide reference for a facts. Also, again, the explainability. So it might give an answer without giving an explanation. And this is an issue with all the models. But specifically for generative AI, the reference for the facts, it might write something and sounds great, but when we ask for a reference, or actually it doesn't even give a reference, even if giving a reference, it might be not true. So that's all the goal of my presentation, to give a brief idea of clinical NLP and the traditional paradigm of working with the clinical NLP, and how we can use or take the advantages of the new techniques and generative AI, and how to adapt that. Again, this is still evolving area, and there is a lot of research, but again, also there is a lot of concerns within the community, because again, the clinical data is something sensitive and it has own unique challenges. So thank you so much again. I do really appreciate your time, and thank you. Special thanks to Dr. Asiri for the opportunity. Thank you.
Yes. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. First, my name اسمي منيا بن الحاج علوان. ما هو منيا العواني. Okay. طيب. I'm so pleased to be with you to present you or to talk about an interesting subject related to healthcare, and this subject is related to how artificial intelligence can help for neurological disorder diagnosis. So in last decades, the number of patients with neurological diseases has been growing rapidly. For example, we detected that an increase or a raise from 40.5% to 18.3% is noted between 2006 till 2016, يعني within 10 years. Parkinson's disease, Alzheimer's disease, Huntington disease, and dementia are not curable. So we cannot easily cure this kind of diseases. So why I'm here? Yes. So they affect, what is very important, that this kind of diseases affect the quality of life of many people. They would also, what is mentioned from the World Health Organization, WHO, they predicted that within 2030, for example, the neurological diseases gonna be the first leading cause of that worldwide. Currently, the available treatments cannot cure, but can only limit the rapid progress of the disease. What is also known is that the neural disease can influence the muscular control, and this kind of bad working or degenerative of muscular control will influence the balance and the walking. And that's why gait classification or gait analysis can be a very interesting tool to perform AI-based disease detection and early diagnosis. Here, I present you some kind of gait pathologies. So we have many neurological diseases that can be related to gait disorders, and in particular, Parkinson's disease comes at the second position after Alzheimer disease. Okay, and what is noted also that Alzheimer's disease affected around 7 to 10 million people around the world, what is very, very huge number. So that's why it's very important to help these people by an early diagnosis of this kind of diseases. So what is the gait? The gait is a succession of physical actions performed during walking. It's defined as the internal to successive heel strikes of the same foot, يعني step. A gait cycle is referred to stride. Also, a gait cycle, we can call it stride, and it consists of two phases, the stand phase and the swing one, with alternate for each leg. Stance phase includes the heel to toe contact sequence of the foot, and it constitutes 60% of the cycle, gait cycle. The swing phase constitutes 40% of the gait cycle. And here, through this image, we can see how a gait can be analyzed. Okay, so we have two phases, stance phase and the swing phase. Each phase includes a double support, yani both feet are in contact with the ground, and a single support, only one feet in contact of the ground. Of course, analyzing this gait can help to have a precise idea how a person having a degenerative disease has a disorder in his gait. So, depending on the disease, okay, on the context, gait characteristics may vary from one disease to another disease. Okay, for example, here I present you in this table the most two neurological diseases that are interesting, not interesting, people are really interested in. And for example, the Alzheimer patients, okay, exhibits difficulty with memory and comprehension. So as a consequence, gait deteriorates to the strict association between gait and cognition. A person having Alzheimer have a very huge cognition problems. So an Alzheimer disease include, for example, gait. When we analyze the gait for an Alzheimer disease, we discovered that the gait is slower with shorter stride, greater stride to stride, and other important features. The primary gait disorder for Parkinson's disease patients are reduced gait speed, the speed is reduced, the step length, fascination, there is a quick moving, impaired by arrhythmia and increased axial rigidity. So still now we understand that the gait can be helpful for characterizing this kind of diseases. Now is how we can measure, what kind of measures we can get when analyzing the gait. So there are several components can be measured to objectively analyze the gait cycle. These components are typically categorized into 3 types of features: spatiotemporal features, kinematics features, and kinetics features. Here, I included a table in which we have a bunch of spatiotemporal features that we can measure to characterize the gait. So here we have, for example, the gait cycle, the stance phase, etc. And the spatiotemporal features are the most useful ones for characterizing the type of the disease and relating, use them as features for building machine learning algorithms. Kinetics features are featuring involves forces. Okay, so forces and their impact on motion. These forces are produced by the ground reaction on hip, knee, and ankle joints. They can be computed only from the sagittal plane. Okay, let's say the plane that divided the body into left and right sides, as we see here. And finally, the last features are kinematics features, and these kinematics features are describing the movements without taking the force. So in this case, what is very important is measuring, let's say, the angles, okay, between the joints that related different joints, as shown here in the figure. And these angles can be used as features to characterize the type of the disease. The last part to present you what is the gait is how to perform a gait analysis. What are the type of technology that can be used to perform this kind of gait analysis? So here we have, let's say, I think there is a, basically 3 kinds of sensors. The first ones are, like this. The first one are the wearable sensors. Okay, these wearable sensors can be inertial sensors like accelerometers that you can find into smartphones, pressure, also some kind of pressure sensors that we can put on feet. Also, we can use non-wearable sensors. Non-wearable sensors we can distinguish firstly floor sensors, okay, and these floor sensors can take the pressure induced by walking on the floor. And finally, the third type of sensors are what we call vision-based systems. So in this case, we use a number of camera, frontal plane, sagittal plane, etc., to take a video or photos of the person walking, and after that we can analyze these photos. In some works, people use also hybrid techniques. And they can combine, for example, non-wearable sensors with computer vision-based systems. So before showing you or explaining you our contribution related to this kind of applications, I prefer to present you the most recent and most relevant papers that I found related to the AI-based techniques for neurological disease diagnosis. So these references are here showed according to their year of publication, and mostly these papers present a very complete review according to the type of features, extraction, pre-processing steps. Secondly, what are the type of data sets that are collected or used? Because the data set, without data set, we cannot do any data science processing. Also, some kind of presenting the performance of many machine learning algorithms and recently deep learning algorithms. Also, all these papers are very interesting, okay, and can give, let's say, a very good and clear and even deep idea about the state of the art related to the artificial intelligence technologies deployed for NDD, neurological disease diagnosis. In particular, in the paper Albuquerque 2021, they introduced a new database, computer vision-based database that includes some abnormal gaits recorded from 21 patients. Okay, and this is very important as these kind of databases are very rare. Okay, to have them. Okay. Also, in this recent paper, 2022, we have a systematic review of features engineering strategies and machine learning models developed for Parkinson's disease prediction. Let's say that Parkinson's disease prediction is catching the interest of many researchers as it is a very challenging task. Okay. Now, you have this and you have all the references, of course. So let's go to our contribution. So our contribution is, let's say, entitled detection-based convolutional neural networks. Yani detection of neurological disease based on convolutional neural networks. Of course, here we are dealing with deep learning. So for our task or for our work, okay, it was a master thesis work. We used the ENT database. The ENT gate database is a relatively recent database, simulated one. Yani they recorded many gate types, okay, related to different neurological disorders. And this gate is public and we can have it after a simple request from the research laboratory. So they recorded 10 healthy volunteers to simulate, let's say, a number of gate problems, okay? This here is, I don't know, it doesn't work. Yeah. Here is some technical specifications of the ENT gate database. So here we have, it is recorded in June 2016, 10 volunteers from this university, 9 male and 1 female, sequences of binarized frames to protect subjects. So the data set contains binarized images. Okay, so we can recognize, of course, people because it's so private. And all the images, okay, are of size 800 pixels per 400 pixels, 2 sequences per subject and gate cycle. Total number of sequences, yani total number of samples, because each sequence is like a video of the person walking, the person, of course, simulating some kind of gait pathologies. Okay, we have 160 recording, and total number of silhouette images is 41,104. What does it mean? Each recording, okay, is split into a number of frames. So the total number of frames considering all the samples is given here. What is very important, yani this data set comparing to the existing ones is promising in the way that it contains sufficient information to can be used for deep learning algorithms or even machine learning, of course. So here are the normalities that are simulated and that we find in this data set. So we have some normal motion of the left arm and the right arm, normal motion of the left leg, half motion of the right leg. You see, you have, for example, one leg working normally and the second leg working with disability. Okay, so how we proceed for our work? For our work, we really here an example of one recording. So you see the person, it's a abnormal gait, and you see the person working, okay, during a gait cycle, okay, and here you see that he's going through a kind of a distance. So exploiting the data set, we performed some kind of classification. Here we performed really a binary classification. So as we considered the healthy persons as a class and all the abnormal gaits are second class. Why we did this? Because if we consider all the classes, like 6 or 7 classes, it can be very difficult to train on it deep learning algorithm, since the number of samples per class is not so important. So that's why we proceeded as a first step, of course, as a binary classification. So the processing performed is as following. So here first we have the video. We process the video. Why we process the video? In order to what we call extract the silhouette images, okay? And after that, we proceed classification, and the classification here is done by CNN, and the output can be normal or abnormal gait. So the pre-processing is constituted by, let's say, 4 steps: frame extraction, background subtraction, image segmentation, and image binarization. So the image is binary, black and white, okay? And we see the silhouette and what we call the silhouette extraction. And of course, these images containing these silhouettes are fed to the convolution neural network. So here, this is our neural network. The output is the silhouette images. And here you have a neural network. I'm not going into detail, but a neural network is a set of layers, convolution layer, then pooling layers, and overfitting, etc. Okay? So, as I said, generally, when dealing with gait classification, people can use transfer learning, can use pre-trained models, and then they train these pre-trained models on their data set, okay? Because before the appearing of this ENT gait data set, the small number of samples in the existing data sets can't allow people to do with building the model from zero. However, here, since the number of photos or the number of silhouette images is relatively important, so we went with building our own model. And as the image is a binarized image, white and black, we did not use really a very complicated architecture. Okay, for our case, as we see here, we have, let's say, a light architecture model. We have 2 layers, number of kernels per layer is 32, kernel size 3 by 3, learning rate is this value, activation function sigmoid since we are in binary case, and finally batch size is 33. So after learning, here learning and validation, طبعا you know all this, we have this kind of a result. And this result showing approximately 90% of accuracy is obtained using only 2,924 images. Of course, a first architecture is not sufficient, so we did many experiments, okay, exhaustive experiments to tune, okay, to choose the best architecture, to tune all the hyper parameters of the model. And here you have a table resuming also all the experiments conducted in order to fix the architecture and all the hyper parameters of the model. Based on the selected, let's say, based on the selected model, let's please just, I don't know what doesn't work. Yeah, based on the selected model, first, when we pre-trained the model and after that we test, we did a prediction, okay, we obtained the following results. So 80% for normal and 79% for abnormal, and an average accuracy of approximately 79.5, what is not really very high. So that's why we used all the data set. The question is said, why you did not use all the data set from the beginning? Because the process is time consuming, and also it's not so obvious also to have a powerful machine. The machine that we have is a simple computer, okay, with, let's say, moderate memory capacities and moderate processing. When we used all the images, 75,000 images, we succeeded to increase the prediction accuracies to 97% for normal and 80% for abnormal. Okay, and an average accuracy of 83%. It's as accuracy very similar, or let's say when compared with the state of the art. Comparing this, if we see the state of the art, I didn't find any work working with the ENT database, but the GATE IT database appeared recently. Okay, they used also CNN model with 5 layers, a little bit more complicated or more complex architecture than ours, but in this case, also they don't use only silhouette, they use the GEI energy images obtained from collecting all the silhouette regarding one video. They obtain kind of following results, and we see that we have not, our model give us not very, very similar to the existing findings of the state of the art. Here are some references. But before concluding, just I want to explain that it is the first attempt, okay, first experiment or first work conducted for performing neurological disease diagnosis based on artificial intelligence and particular deep learning. Of course, I'm not really saying that's very good. I'm not convinced, because what we used separated images. However, I believe that better to use all the sequence of the recording. It gives more precise idea about the abnormality of the gate. So instead of extracting frames from different videos, we have to use these videos as they are successive frames. So in this case, we have to use some kind of deep learning algorithms evolving, considering, let's say, time dependency in the recording. And for me, it's, let's say, LSTM, long short-term memory models, can be a favorite candidate for this kind of application. And also, since the number of recording is not so high, perhaps we can first extract some interesting features, and after that, after extracting these features, we fed the LSTM model with the extracted features. Okay, I think that it can be more reliable as a model, because this one, it gives a good result, but I'm not sure for the reliability for testing on different patterns of abnormal gates. hope that my speech or my talk interested you. And thank you so much for your attention.
Good morning, one and all. A hearty thanks to Dr. Arich for inviting me and giving me an opportunity to deliver my thoughts and my research running over in this period of time. Actually, my research area is related purely depending on cancer diagnosis and prognosis. So I do concentrate particularly on women-based cancer researches, like breast cancer or cervical cancer based on mammogram images and many. And I'm not here to explain you the slides or to make anything over it. I just want to discuss what type of researches can be more interesting in the near future so that it can contribute to the society too much. Actually, as Dr. Arij insisted, drug screening and drug-related researches related to machine learning are on huge demand now, because for every drug to be manufactured and that after undergoing too many testing phases, it needs around 10 to 15 years to bring out a drug. So it takes too much of time when it is being tested practically on patients to bring a valuable result. So in order to avoid it, many drug screening strategies like pharmacokinetics based on IC50 values of the drugs or the disease what we are going to predict on, these things are very important to be taken under consideration. And to introduce myself to the research, my research area is, as I told before, it is completely on medical images. What is the difference between a medical image diagnosis and a normal image, like a photography or whatever images we use? Why machine learning takes a most important part in disease diagnosis based on images is, as you know, we have a lot of medical images like CT scans are there, MRI, mammograms are there, scanning images are there. But what is the difference between a normal photography and a medical photography? It takes too much of details with it. When you say a normal photography, it is just going to be like a facial image or a natural scenery or some images which is going to give a very less detail on it. But when we go with medical images, much importance is given towards the features, what is inherent within it. It is because a tumor or any diagnosis, what needs to be made over there out of the medical image speaks too much. A patient is going to be diagnosed as a cancer patient or not, depends on the image features what we are going to use. So when we come to the medical images, the features involved in the images has more details built within it. So we are not practical chemical practitioners to understand what the image speaks about or what it comes to deliver something to us. So as a computer scientist, machine learning is really a boom and a gift to us to understand, even though we are not clinical practitioners, based on the clinical ideas of so many clinical practitioners who has registered on it, we get some idea on the new images, what happens there. Even though I am not a clinical physician, I can just introduce the new image to the machine learning model and I can predict whether there is a cancer or no. This gives a base for the future treatment process. So the first part, what involved me in the researches using neuroscience, Alzheimer's disease. This is the first research which I used for medical imaging. As Dr. Monia was explaining, neurological disorders can be visualized using some approximations or the way how they behave, we can understand that there is some neurodegenerative disease affected with them, maybe Alzheimer's or Parkinson's or any sort of disease. But the brain image, when it is being tracked over, it is very difficult for a normal human being to understand what the brain image speaks about and what it comes to deliver about it. So it is only clinical physician's responsibility to read the image and give a clinical recommendation. So instead of going on depending 100% on a clinical physicians, of course, we should depend on the clinical physicians for medical images. But based on the ideas which they have delivered for the previous stored data sets, it is the responsibility of a machine learning algorithm or a deep learning algorithm also to deliver an idea what may be the conclusion of a doctor. So it gives a predictive analytics on the medical image, what is going to be analyzed, so that the clinical people, normally when we go to clinics, we used to see, they take the blood pressure or the temperature of a person. This is not the duty of a doctor. It is the duty of a clinical people who are working over there, the preliminary nurses or who are working over there. So the main objective of bringing medical imaging into deep learning concepts is to give a basic idea on what it can be. Suppose if I have a skin rash, I cannot say it is a skin cancer. It may be a normal skin rash, or it can be a normal skin disease which is affected, which can be cured over time. So it gives the normal person an idea whether the disease is going to be too concentrated, or should I meet a clinical person definitely, or it does goes by a normal medicine. Just to give a convincing result to the normal people, we go on with deep learning techniques. Deep learning can never replace clinical people or a medical practitioner, but it can support them to some extent. So as you see here, this is an image from one of my article where we have done generative deep belief network for improved medical image segmentation. Here we have used around 5 data sets for different diseases, brain diseases, MRI, CT, all the images were mixed up and they were pre-processed and the features were extracted. Finally, the features were selected. After feature extraction, we know that we need to select only some features which speaks some result for our problem. So finally, we go on with the segmentation process and the performance analysis. Here you can see some of the segmented images. The first image is with Alzheimer's disease. The second is with an MRI scan of a spinal. And the third is a cerebral spinal cord image. So these images are from different data sets which were trained, and the features were segmented, and the part of the tumor spot is detected using the proposed algorithm. You can see in the last column, actually it was compared with 4 different existing methods. Those methods were worked on the existing data sets, and their results were compared with what we have proposed. So what is the difference in the proposed system is, we have used local binary features, and the features what is going to be selected is going to speak something which is very clear in its segmentation process. So we have used the data sets of all these 5 tumors. In general, we used to work on only one data set to take up the result. But we have worked on 5 different data sets merged together on that specific method to bring a generalization that our proposed method works for all the 5 data sets. So these are the 4 techniques which we have proposed individually. Quasi-continuous wavelet transform, which is used for pre-processing the image. As you know, pre-processing speaks an important role in processing your image. Unless your image is going to be pre-processed clearly, you will not get a proper output. So pre-processing plays a major role there. So the pre-processing has been taken into account as QCWT because it should suit all the 5 different data sets. All the 5 different data sets have different data with it. So we cannot go on with, suppose if I'm taking a brain image, I can work on all the brain images, but that may not suit my spinal image, or that may not suit my breast cancer image. So in order to make it suitable to work with all the different data sets, we have used QWCT. And we have used GLCM using Harlech features, which extracts the important features from all the 5 different data sets to make a generalization. And Golden Eagle optimization is done for feature selection. So as I told you before, medical images, not only medical images, whatever image you are feeding to a network should be pre-processed clearly so that you get a prescribed output. If the images are not going to be pre-processed clearly, the output may not be the same as what we desired. So pre-processing plays an important role. So we have made a lot of pre-processing strategies, and I have chosen one such optimization, Golden Eagle optimization algorithm. And the final outcome of the proposed system is the generative deep belief neural network. So the next one which I am working on is the breast cancer images. As you know, breast cancer images are detected using mammograms. And when compared to all other images, when you take the brain cancer image or a breast cancer image, pre-processing is very, very important, because you know that brain is not only composed of brain, it has some other layers on it. Breast is not only composed of the tumors, it has some other pectoral muscles are there. These pectoral muscles are the major part in the breast, which should be removed while scanning so that we can identify the tumor part alone clearly. Since there should not be any other distractions of other features to detect the cancer, so many pre-processing steps have to be done when it is dealt with breast cancer. So to conclude it, for complete work on the medical images, what we are doing is, I am not working on general convolution neural network or any other neural network which works on real valued networks. I work on complex valued neural networks where it can be concentrated on 3 dimensions. Your real valued neural network, RVNN, speaks with 2 dimensions, and whatever works I am working on, the neural networks are built on complex valued neural networks, and I'm also working on quaternary neural networks. This quaternary neural networks gives a 4-angle dimension for a pixel. When you're dealing with a pixel, if RVNN is going to deal with just X and Y axis, your complex valued neural network will speak about its imaginary part also. As we know, complex value is nothing but A plus IX. I is an imaginary part which cannot be determined completely. So based on those imaginary values also, each and every single point of a pixel is being read over to the network. And the third part, what we are working on is a bidirectional associative memory, which is going to work on both back propagation and on forward propagation on complex valued neural network. Why we have chosen complex valued neural network is, when we are working on a normal PC or a high-end computer or a supercomputer to train images, rather when we compare it to the tabular data, working on with images consumes a lot of space and a lot of time. So in order to overcome all this, now as we know, quantum computing is on emergence. So to bring out quantum computing to an effective part, we need to work on complex valued neural networks also, where we can minimize the time taken on the unwanted parts of the image. So when you're taking an image, only on the tumor part, the convolution neural network works. On the other parts, real valued neural networks will work. So real valued neural networks are taken just to consider which tumor part I'm going to work on. So on that tumor part alone, the convolution neural network for complex value will work on. So as we know before, one important concept which should be known is, when we go with quantum computing, complex valued neural network will work better. That is not my opinion, it is the research which I have done on it. And the second thing is explainable AI. As today's trends, explainable AI is speaking a lot. What is explainable AI? Explainable AI should explain what your AI mechanism or machine learning mechanism speaks about. It is not about how many layers you work on, what is the length of your network, what is the depth of your network. It is already built. A neural network is already built. Hyperparameter optimization is already done. Tuning process is already defined. So what is the new innovation we are going to adapt on it is the mathematical background, what we are working on it. So the mathematical background, what we work on it is the concentration, what I have given. So the complex valued neural network is suitable for quantum computing based computers or evaluations, since we are working on all the 3-dimension or 4-dimension. When you go with quaternary neural network, it is a 4-dimension network. When you go with complex valued neural network, it is a 3-dimension network. So it is best suitable for medical images, that too with color images, where you are having different variations of RGB or CMYK, whatever scale you are going to use. Everywhere, these two networks will give you a better result. If you are working on any medical images in the future or as a thesis work or whatever it is, don't give a try on the inbuilt networks or transfer learning models. Instead, go on with modifying the mathematical models where you can work on these things, and you can trust me that these give a better result in less time. Okay, so this is my research on medical imaging based on artificial intelligence. So my whatever suggestions, or if you have to contact me regarding any of your help for the research works you are doing on, I am free to help you at any time. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. Yeah, it's my pleasure and honor to be here today. I think already most of the students move on, and I am at the end, so I'm not going to use your mind. Anyway, within short period, I will just try to complete my presentation today. Yeah. Yes, all of you know me. Yeah, this is Anandi from Department of Information System. And if I go to my short profile, yes, this is my short profile about me. So I started my specialization with the data mining. Then I move on to natural language processing. And for the past few years, I am working on machine learning and deep learning. Currently, yes, this is my 23rd years of service in teaching and academics. And then, yes, publications nearly 45, and try to reach 50 by this year end with God's grace. Yeah, doctor. Okay, sign now. Fine. And ongoing projects, now 3 projects we are working under, and mostly focused on healthcare and artificial intelligence. So here for the keynote today, I want to discuss one of the publications during the year 2020 from my team. This is about working on cardiovascular diseases using the machine learning techniques and with the combination of predictive analytics. And this work has been presented over in one of the conference in Manipal University, India. And that the same work has been published in that Springer in the Singapore section. So it's quite important while I am targeting the student for the research work. Even it's a simple work, but it's quite innovative for focusing on the new researchers. Okay, so what I'm going to discuss today is about how here the various machine learning techniques, nearly 6 different classifiers have been used for predicting this cardiovascular diseases in the cardiovascular data set. Also, we just apply this different metrics like accuracy, and then the pre-call, and then precision. All these things we have just done for that. Let's see in the coming slides more detail. And coming to that main topic here, what about this data? This data is about cardiovascular data, And mainly we are just focusing on, this is a disorder in the heart, the organ which is present in the human being, particularly targeting about that the blood vessels. So there are various, the variants are here with the different names are there, and all these data sets are available now on Gaggle as well as in the UCI data repository. So the first one here, the heart attack or the heart stroke, this is about like what is the problem in blood flowing from the heart, I mean to and fro to the heart. That's a heart attack they are saying. And from the blood disorder in flow of like blood to the heart and the brain. And then the third one, cardiomyopathy, they are just saying that as that the heart has 4 chambers, the 4 different walls. These walls are very stiff and then very thickened. In that situation, maybe it leads to cardiomyopathy. The people are working on that. And then the fourth category is like a cardioarrhythmia. This is another name. Here, there is a problem in that the heart, the pulses, the rhythm of heart is just having some disorder. That's like the signals they are studying, and then more research is going on. And the last one, like congenital disorder. This is like there is a structure problem. I mean the heart structure problem from the birth. Maybe it is due to this genetical the inheritance what they are taking from the previous generation people. So here, why we need to do the research on this CVD data? According to this American AHA, Heart Association and World Health Organization, they are saying that CVD is the #1 cause of death. And then nearly 80% of the CVD death, mainly due to the heart attack, and it is mainly due to the heart stress, they are saying. And nearly 1 out of 3 patients are having this diseases. And then every year there are nearly 17.7 million deaths due to this CVD diseases, and 23.6 million death by 2030 is expected also. So that's why more research is very required in this field of cardiovascular diseases. Coming to the technique what we just used in this paper here, the traditional machine learning flow with a combination of predictive analytics. Here, the machine learning here, we are taking that input, as you guys know that we are going for the future extraction, and then our future set is ready. Why? Because the data set is very huge and we cannot focus on all the features or the attributes what we need for that. So what we need here to just focus on the data set, what is important for us, and then we can just go for various ML algorithms, and finally we are getting the output. So for this output, we can just apply this predictive analytics, and predictive analysis can go with the combinations of machine learning algorithms, statistics, or the data mining. And why we need that? With the available data, we can just predict the future information. So this is the basic idea here. And this one, as we applied 6 different classifiers, and more important topic during that 2020, we just focused on. And almost all these researchers, they had 70 to 75% accuracy. That's why we targeted to improvise that accuracy, as the research project are based on this heart disease data. So here, let's see this classifiers, what we are exactly doing in that. So for the methodology, we consider 3 different data sets from UCI data repository. The first one is from the Cleveland with the Switzerland and Hungary. And another one is actually, Al-Jaida Sani, he's a professor, and he created his own data set based on the cardios. And then the third data set is related to the Western Cape, South Africa. So 3 data set is our target. And coming to this methodology, yes, 6 different classifiers. I will just say one by one in the next slides. And finally, we calculated that various performance evaluation metrics for us. Well, coming to the data set here, yes, this is some simple picture, and you can just take it from this archive of this UCI. The first is data set, and it's just covering almost all the features of this 14 different features. And then the second one data set here, nearly 10. And this is also about the simple information about the cardiovascular diseases. And the third data set is about the South African one. Here also we are nearly having that 14 different features, but totally it is just having 54 attributes are there. But we are not focusing more on that, and we just retrieved what is very important, and it's nearly like 14 different features are there. This is about the data set. And while coming to the models, why we have chosen only this 6 different models. The first one, we are talking about this KNN, as you guys already studied in your curriculum already. So here, its main target is about the similarity or the proximity, we can just say, like based on the distance measure, the new data set can be classified either to the previous one or the next one. Okay, simple idea, just to take the class similarity measure, and accordingly it will just fit into either the category B or the category A. This is the first the model. And coming to the second model, the support vector machine. For this machine, we are having here like a support vector is a concept behind that. So it's a try to create one like a decision boundary, or that like a normal hyperplane where we can just find the exact classification boundary for the 2 different classes or the multiple classes. And at the same time, this support vectors will play a very important role in choosing the hyperplane. That's why the classification will be done very nicely over here. And the third model what we have chosen is a decision tree. As you know that here also, like we have a decision node as well as that leaf node category. And the decision node, we are just putting all the conditions which is response for each of the attributes, and finally having the classification at the leaf node. And then we are going for the random forest. This is one of the ensemble method, we can say, as we just created various the decision trees. And the given 3 data sets has been divided into 3 different subsets. And based on the subsets, we created this decision subtrees. And that subtrees are just going for the voting and averaging or ensembling. And finally, we got that actually the prediction for that. Move on to the next one, like LDA. It's already another trending one, the linear discriminant analysis. It is just trying to like maximize the component based on the access. And then particularly applicable for if you are having the very high dimensional data, at that time it's better to use this LDA kind of information. And it just try to project this data to that actually the good one or that the bad projection of the data. And move on to the last one, like artificial neural network. This was a base here. And in that case, we just use that the single hidden layers concept. And for this, it's just having that input and then various hidden layers for transforming the various features in a different structure. And then the combination will be given to the output for us. And the metrics, what we just discussed over here for this particular publication is about this 6.1. Why we have chosen this particular measures? As you know that the accuracy, we can just find out from the model itself. And the second one for the precision is about your like what is the true positive value? What is that actually relevant measure? I can take it from there. And the third one, the recall is about only the relevant features we are focusing on. And the F1 score for like the harmonic mean calculation, I can take it from there. That's why the averaging of like different class variables have to be done. And the last one, mean absolute error. This is very important in case of like if I'm going with or working with multiple data sets. So for this one, we just find out like the differences between the actual as well as the predicted values. And from the 3 data sets, we applied this 6 different classifiers. And we got it nearly that the accuracy values about 85% or the 80%, and then last one is 88%. And almost all the classifiers are having like around 70 to 80% scale. And the classification accuracy we got for this 0.85 and 80 and then 88. And then it is just not that much accuracy value during the 2020. Now for the current project, we are just working on like the combinations of different models to just have that better results than this accuracy what we achieved in the last research. So coming to the conclusion part of this one, like or the keynote what I am going to give today is the cardiovascular disease data sets are available, and we need like more research work to be carried out on this. And these 6 different classifiers we applied. On the top of that, like the combination or the ensembling method with the combination of like a deep learning is now going on. And that should be just combined with this data set to apply that or to achieve more accuracy result on that. And in this result, we got that this random forest, and then LDA and DT and AN shows the better performance in various data set 1 and data set 2. And for the data set 2, we have just given the support vector machine, KNN, and the DT as the final result for us. This is the keynote I'm just giving that, because the more research work is needed in all the fields of like cardiovascular diseases. And these are some important references. Maybe you can get it from the organizing team. And yeah. Okay, so this is yeah. I think I just gone with that. Okay, guys, so you can reach me here as well. Thank you so much. Yeah, Doctor.
شكرا جزيلا لحضوركم. سرفايفنج يعني الملتقى. الله يعطيكم العافية. شكرا جزيلا لحضور الجميع. بنختم الملتقى المرأة في علم البيانات في دورته الثالثة. نجاوب على سؤالنا اللي بدأنا فيه. Will AI be ethical؟ هذا سؤال جدا مهم الآن، وصار يعني عليه ديبيت مرة كثيرة. حتى صار الادفانسمنت في الاي اي يحتاجون شوية سلو داون على أساس إنه يشوفوا هل بالفعل إحنا الادفانسمنت اللي جالسة تصير بنقدر بالفعل تو كنترول وسستين الادفانسمنت اللي جالسة تصير في الاي اي. طبعا لما نجي نتكلم عن الاثيكال اي اي او اخلاقيات الذكاء الاصطناعي، احنا نتكلم عن 3 عناصر اساسيه. اللي يتبادر لذهننا مباشره في الهيلث كير هي البرايفسي للبيشنت، اللي هي خصوصيه البيشنت المرضى. طبعا بمجرد ما تصير كلها ديجيتال، فالجبرتي او الديسكلوجر للبيانات هذه وانها تعلن او انها تصير اكسسبل للناس، دائما هذا بيظل مين كونسيرن. الامر الثاني البايس، التحيز. من الطبيعي والجميع يعرف ان الماشين ليرنينج والديب ليرنينج هو بالذات السوبرفايزد ليرنينج منه هو يعتمد بشكل كبير على بيانات تم جمعها سابقا من البشر نفسهم. فمن الطبيعي ان هذه البيانات راح ترث اي تحيز تم الاستناد عليه في جمع هذه البيانات. وهذا اللي تم الاكتشافه حتى مؤخرا الان، انه كثير من هل الذكاء الاصطناعي متحيز؟ نعم بالفعل. ليش؟ لانه يستند بشكل كبير على بيانات سابقه أرثت أساساً التحيز اللي كان موجود عند البشر. فالبايس هذا على قولتهم inevitable، ما نقدر يعني نغيره في البيانات. الأمر كمان الثالث اللي خلينا تبي يعني so concerned about اللي هو ethical AI، failure to get appropriate patient consent. أنا بالفعل ما نقدر نحصل على موافقة المريض في استخدام هذه البيانات عشان نقدر نسوي prediction. استخدامك للبيانات للاناليتيكال later on لازم يحتاج الكونسنت من المريض، أي موافقة المريض عليها. فهذه 3 main concerns عندنا في الإثيكال AI، وتعتبر من الميجر concerns اللي حتى أو التحديات أو العقوبات العواقب اللي أيضا بتكون عندنا بعد اللي هو استخدام ال AI في الهيلث كير. للإجابة على السؤال هذا will AI be ethical at some point يعني، فعندنا الميجاترون the transformer هو أساساً developed by the deep learning research team في NVIDIA، في شركة NVIDIA، وtrained على real world data. حجم بيانات اللي تم تدريب transformer عليه حجم جداً جداً ضخم. نتخيل إنه حتى يستحيل على البشر إنها تقدر تستوعب كل هذه البيانات اللي تم تدريب هذا ترانسفورمر عليها أو الروبوت هذا عليها. بيانات كثيرة، articles كثيرة، معلومات كثيرة. وتم سؤال هذا الروبوت عن هل تعتقد إن ال AI ethical ولا لا؟ كان جوابه كالتالي: AI will never be ethical. يستحيل إنه يكون في يوم من الأيام أخلاقي ال AI. هذا جواب الترانسفورمر نفسه اللي تم تدريبه على الداتا. It is a tool. And like any tool, it is used for good and bad. ممكن تستخدم بشكل جيد وممكن تستخدم بشكل سيء. There is no such a thing as a good AI. لا يمكن وجود شيء نقدر نقول عليه AI as a good thing. Only good and bad humans هم فقط البشر اللي احنا نقدر نعطيهم هذه الصفات انهم جيدين او سيئين. We the AIs are not smart enough to make AI ethical. We are not smart enough to make AI moral. وهذا أهم جانب واللي يكون الفرق ما بين البشر والاي اي والروبوتس والتولز اللي احنا نستخدمها. morality الأخلاقيات. In the end, I believe that the only way to avoid an AI arms race is to have no AI at all. This will be the ultimate defense against AI. هذا اللي تم تدريبه من كل الارتكلز اللي خلقوها البشر خلال الفترات السابقة كلها، يعتقد تماماً بأنه لا يمكن للAI أن يكون ethical. والسؤال الثاني اللي سألناه في بداية الopening remarks للملتقى، هل تعتقدون في يوم من الأيام ممكن أنه الوظائف والأدوار اللي كانوا يقومون بها البشر في الهيلث براكتيشنرز وفي الهيلث سيكتور هل يمكن استبدالها بالAI؟ هذا سؤال دائما مطروح ومفتوح للجميع وديبيتبل، وناس تعترض وناس تعتقد انه بالفعل الا صحيح وممكن استبدال كثير من الآليات. انا راح اتكلم فقط عن رأيي انا الشخصي. الشيء اللي انا اؤمن فيه ان الAI راح يفتح opportunities جديده. صح ممكن اوتوميت كثير من البروسيسز، ممكن يغلق بعض الادوار، ممكن يغلق بعض الوظائف، صحيح، لكنه surely it will open the doors for new job descriptions, new job skill sets. نحتاج مهارات معينة جديدة عشان الAI فقط ما هو automation، لكن surely راح يساعد الهيلث براكتيشنرز في اتخاذ قرارات. الشيء اللي يفرق عندنا في الAI إنه يمر على الAI cases يستحيل للدكتور أو الطبيب في خلال مثلا حياته كاملة من بدأ يمارس يمر على مثل اللي مر على الAI من ناحية الأسوسيشنز اللي موجودة للبيانات واطلاعه والفيتشرز اللي موجودة فيها. أشكركم جميعاً، هذا اللي حبيت أنا أختم فيه. نختم دائماً بديبيتبل question، دائماً سؤال يفتح الباب لأسئلة ثانية. أترككم مع هذا السؤال. أشكركم شكراً جزيلاً، وأكرر شكري لجامعة الملك خالد لاستضافتها في الدورة الثالثة لملتقى علم البيانات. أشكر كلية علوم الحاسب لحرصها على استضافته لهذا السنة. شكراً جزيلاً لكم. بس إذا ممكن أوجه الحضور، ممكن تشوفون البوسترات اللي موجودة في اللوبي تبع المركز. طبعا هذه كلها بوسترات طالباتنا الماجستير في مجال علم البيانات. الطالبات راح يتوجهون هناك موجودين، تقدرون تسألونهم وتستعرضون مشاريعهم. شكرا لكم.